So the other day I went to go get parts, which took the whole entire day playing that game. I called the dealer to see what the rates were on the parts, and they would sell one valve cover gasket instead of a kit, which I found interesting because I really only felt like doing one right at the minute. But after I took that one apart today, the other one really needs to be done. Yeah. So they wanted 30 for the valve cover gasket, and then they wanted uh like $6 each for the coil pack rings, and then and that's the biggest job of all, to get those out and put them back in. That's a real big trick. What a poor design. But anyway, uh, uh, it's relatively easy to work on. That's the nice part. Um, so surprisingly enough, but it's tedious, and everything has to be done very carefully, very gently, um, and precisely. Uh, I missed my '77 Camaro where I had the big tall chrome twist offs where I could pull a valve cover in 5 minutes. Bam. Yeah. With my big Mr. gaskets, big thick gaskets I had on there. I had a 350 small block Nova in there. And the only thing I hated was, the heads slanted off. And it was just a continual leak problem till a guy at a parts house turned me onto those extra thick valve cover gaskets. And they were so sweet because I glue them only on one side. That way I could remove the valve cover all the time and check in there and stuff. And but anyway, yeah. So like, I got one arm that's so slashed up it looks like a dog chewed me up from the elbow all the way to my wrist. My skin's so soft, and it just got whacked repeatedly. There's one like open clamp on a, I guess it's an air conditioning hose, and it's turned under, and I didn't think I could move it, but I probably should have tried to attempt it because I just kept whacking my arm into that thing constantly to the point of where I was just bleeding away all down my arm. And it was pretty messy. Hopefully, I don't die from the germs uh, all up in my arm. But anyway, uh, when I pulled that valve cover off, there was a little bit of oil down one of the coil packs, and I've never seen that happen before, and ever in my life. And I had a terrible time getting the coil packs out, and I used dielectric grease on them when I put those in because I replaced all of them, and that was like $1,000 for those, and just to buy them. And they're really easy to change out normally, but I guess in time they got, you know, with the heat and stuff, and the dielectric wears out because I don't use a ton of it, and uh, they just kind of like fused in there. Oh, it was a nightmare. And I do have a backup one. I have an extra one just in case. So that's brand new in the box. But anyway, so uh, when I finally managed to get them all off, and it was like the second one had oil down it, and I was like, oh no. But I took a flashlight, looked down the tubes, and it looked all good. So that was nice. I was hoping that it wouldn't be full of oil in there, but I think it was bypassing because maybe I did not have that coil pack tight enough for the seal. But the rings are just rigid. They really do need to be replaced, and I got a set of those little rings. And but I just didn't want to go through the argument because I was running out of time. Because I got started on around 3, finished at 9, and like putting all my tools away and stuff like that at 9. I got done, and um, I had purchased another air cleaner filter. Those are really important. They will really change the driving of your car if you stay on those. And even though I had a 4-year one in there, um, I went ahead and changed it, and I could see it was a little bit dirty. And so I had bought one like a week ago, and so I went ahead and put permanent marker date on it and stuff, and loaded that one in, and cleaned up around on the inside of that case and stuff, and loaded that one in, and uh, the old one was, just a little dirty that, I could see, that I had nothing to blow it out with, or suck the stuff off with. A lot of times I'll try using a vacuum cleaner and do that, but it's better if you have an air gun where you can shoot it out. So I uh, changed that air cleaner filter out and cleaned the box, put it back together. I wanted to clean the MAF, but I took when we were building this car for my daughter, I took all of my chemicals over there, and I mean I had cans of throttle body cleaner brand new, and MAF cleaner brand new, all of my stuff, because a lot of my stuff was similar to what we needed on the car without having to buy more. Even though her dad was, going to finance everything, I brought all my stuff, so I had cans and cans and cans of brand new stuff. So then I had none because I never got all the back. But so um, I got that thing put back together, and then I said, well, while I'm there, if I'd had the time, I'd have went ahead and took the whole throttle body off, because it's got a really neat throttle body on it, to where you could take it right off, and you can clean it front to back and all that stuff, which is so much better than just shooting it in and wiping it out. So it's really a neat thing the way that's designed. But I didn't want to get too deep into time because I was going to lose daylight hours. And so I went ahead and just cleaned the throttle body as much as I could without removing it all. And which I really wished I could have, but I can do that again another day. This is a relatively easy job, but I like it really, really clean. So I cleaned the throttle body up, put everything all back together. There's a couple of hoses that I've wanted to replace for a while, and I just haven't done it, and I really need to do it because that helps with the running of the car. There's some vacuum lines and stuff that I want to change out, and so I put it all back together, went to start it up, and it levelized itself out, runs so much better, and it doesn't look like it's leaking any oil at this point. It was getting really, really bad. And boy, I'll tell you, when I pulled that valve cover off, that gasket came out in all kinds of pieces just by itself. I was like, what is all this stuff? And it was actually the gasket. And the gasket's kind of neat because it fits into a slot in the valve cover, which is interesting. And then it just makes it a flat surface. So I didn't have to do a whole bunch of cleaning because they didn't glue it down, the person did it before. It doesn't look like factory. To me, it looks like somebody did it, and I did it kind of a sloppy job. I had to pull some glue out of some spots, and you can only use a certain type of glue on it, and it's like $20 a tube. And I did buy that. And I hate that because, when are you going to use it? Once a year or less, and it'll just rot in the tube. It'd have been neater if they, cut that thing up in about four pieces and then sold it in little bitty pieces instead of having to buy a big giant tube for $20 plus tax. It'll just dry out. And so, anyway, which I'll even put in a Ziploc bag to try to keep it from drying out. But anyway, so I got that made it down and stuff. So I didn't change the tube rings, or I wanted to change um, the little crushers, the little crusher washers that go on the bolts. It's got 9 bolts, and they were just really on there, and I didn't have time to play with that to try to twist those off or cut them off because I had to set of new ones. Because I ended up, when I went to the dealer, I bought the valve cover gasket. They were supposed to have all the parts there, and they didn't when I got there. And they had the rings, but I didn't like the rings because I wanted to get the blue silicone ones, and that I had seen that morning from a friend of mine in California that works on this type of car all the time. And I thought, boy, those would be ideal. It would be so easy to change those tube rings out in that valve cover. But anyway, so I bypassed that because, like I say, they wanted it was like $5.95 per ring, and so you got four on that one side. And I was just planning on doing just the one side, and then I would do the other side later. And so, and then the little crusher washers, they wanted like $6 each for those or something like that, and you need 9 of those. And I'm like, damn. And they didn't even have the crusher washers. So then, I went to 3 parts houses to try to get this blue silicone Velcro kit, because by the time I buy all the bits for just one side at the dealership, I could buy the whole kit with all the stuff and 2 gaskets. And but I couldn't locate the total blue one. I would have had to drive out to Navarre to go get it, and I didn't feel like playing with the tourist traffic, because already, I'd spent the entire day till like 5 or 6 going to parts houses trying to locate the parts. Okay, and I wanted to do the work on the car that day, and it just ended up way too late. So, um, because I'd never done valve cover on this car before, so the valve cover gasket. So I didn't want to, push my luck, um, and run out of time working on it if I had any problems or anything. So I wanted to get on it, you know, relatively early. But anyway, so yeah, so I would have liked to put those crusher washers on there on those bolts, because it's aluminum valve cover, and those would be a nice thing because they would they would have flex to them. So when you torque them down to 53 pound, um, you know, you wouldn't take any risk maybe cracking or anything like that. And then also with vibration, driving it around. But anyway, so I just went ahead and did that. I didn't even pull the half moons out. Somebody glued those in all jacked up. There was all kinds of glue inside the head. So I'm going to have to go in there later and clean that slop up and pull those out and clean them and re-glue them down in, the way they're supposed to be. And as a matter of fact, they have one of them slightly crooked. So I went ahead and used that magic glue and levelized the two of the half moons in the back of the head. And then there's 2 corners on the top and the bottom that are really tight, and I wanted to make sure that it really sealed well and everything. So I put just a little bit of glue in those two corners um, to keep it from leaking, because it's funny how the heads on this particular car slant like that 350 small block Nova did, and that was the only thing I totally hated about that car, um, was the way those heads slanted like that. Um, because I mean, you would think they're prone to leak because of gravity, you know. But anyway, so got that bad baby on. It took a long time to go around and around and around, tightening down a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, and finally got it all down. And I was really pleased with it. But I've just trashed my arm from the elbow to the wrist, cutting it wide open all over the place. I just got down scrubbing it up with some soap, some bacterial soap and stuff, and I'm gonna put some vitamin E on it. Hope it kind of heals overnight a little bit. Because when I go to work, they're gonna think that I got in a fight or something, because or got mauled by a doggy, because my arm is really trashed up. I may have to wrap it up while I'm at work. I don't even know if they'll let me work with it like that. But anyway, so got it done. It doesn't appear to be leaking at all. Um, uh, and sprayed some cleaner down where it had been draining and stuff, because I use Cine oil, so it doesn't burn like conventional oil. It more or less evaporates, and but there's a bunch of it down under, so I sprayed all that down, and it should be a lot better. I'll check a look at it, tomorrow, to see if there's any leakage, because I like to keep my engines real clean so I can tell if they're malfunctioning anyway with any leakages or anything. So that's another thing. Plus, when I'm working on them, I don't like to get dirty, and it's about time for me to get going with a toothbrush on that engine and tidying it up a little bit. Um, I didn't have much time for that today either, so. But I got a bunch of other stuff done. I got that valve cover gasket on, and put the new air cleaner filter in, cleaned the throttle body up, and put some fresh dielectric grease in those coil packs. You can't use a lot. You can only use just a little bit. Um, and uh, I was reading a thing today on a guy that has a Jag, and he has trouble with his boots sticking. And a guy was telling him, just do the bottom tips, because you'll get too much in there, stuff. So that was something I did today different. I did the bottom tips, and then of course I used a Q-tip like I did before, and I just used a little bit around the inside of that boot. So hopefully they won't get stuck again like that, or I'll just start taking them out, once a year, and tidying them up, because they're not a big hairy deal to take out. They're a piece of cake. Um, so yeah, got all that done, got it started up, and then it levelized out in a few minutes, and it really runs smooth. Um, so it really did need the attention. But the biggest part was trying to stop that oil leaking. God, that valve cover gasket was trash. It was like raw spaghetti. It was so trashy, that valve cover gasket. It was like, when I pulled that valve cover off, I was like, "What is this?" And there was a big long black stick, and then this other thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was actually the valve cover gasket. It just split up in pieces. It was just trash. I mean, I could literally break it in my hands like raw spaghetti. It was just pure trash. So that was wonderful. Got that over with, and I'm sure this car is a much happier camper now. Um, and enjoyed the peaceful day because I love turning wrench on my own toys. So it was very nice. But I got a lot accomplished today. I was going to try to write that letter to eBay over that other crappy customer that did that chargeback, and I was going to respond to that thing because apparently they forwarded that to the bank too. Because the buyer claimed that the order was canceled, but the order was not canceled, not by them and not by me. So, other than that, that's kind of about it. Got all the storages paid up today. I've been paying like one a week. I had two to make today, and just slid in there to make two, and one of them was one of the biggest ones. So that was a blessing. So everything's on time, no late charges, yay! And I wanted to list some stuff on eBay today, and did not get time for that. I actually wanted to sleep about 7:30 or 8, but I wanted to get this stuff done on this car, and so it'd be a much happier camper. If you take care of your things, they'll last a long, long time. So anyway, uh, got a great deal done today, yay! Um, and I have an extra valve cover gasket for one side. That I may just go ahead and keep, put it in a Ziploc bag. I might just keep it instead of taking it back, because I'm not sure if they both match the two valve covers. I mean, if they do, I'll probably take that other one back to the dealer, and because it was like 30 something bucks, and but I would like to go back in there and uh, do the other stuff that I didn't get done, um, because it really needs to be done properly. So anyway, I get ready to go 99 night. I gotta get on the road here and get down to my spot. And I hope you guys have had a very blessed and profitable day today. I hope you did something kind for a stranger. And as always, I will see you in the next one. I love you.